In this video, I'm going to share with you some actually useful reading advice I've compiled over the last 10 years that's going to make your reading life so much more enjoyable. I'm going to skip the really obvious stuff like read a few pages every day, create a reading zone, or read shorter books, and give you advice that's not only going to help, but it's also going to make you feel pretty good too. It doesn't matter if you've not read a thing for years or you read every day, there's something in this for everyone. I'm going to start with a big one, and you might think this is a little ironic coming from me, somebody who makes YouTube videos about reading, but you don't have to do all the things other people do online to feel like a reader. Last year, I stopped posting on Instagram and writing book reviews, and as a result, I found I had more time for reading. For a while, I was trying to do all the typical reader things you see online, the reading journal, annotating, posting reviews on Instagram, you name it. But after a few years of doing this, I realized that doing all the things were taking time away from actually reading and making reading feel a little more like a productivity task or a chore. This doesn't mean I don't think any of these things are worthwhile, they just were taking me away from what I wanted to do more of, which was read. And let's be honest, none of these things are reading. They accompany reading, like reading adjacent things, but they're not reading. So if seeing other people do any of these things makes you feel left behind or guilty, like you're doing it all wrong, this is your permission to pass on those things. You don't need to do them. You can if you enjoy them, but you don't need to. The next lesson is related and something I've made many videos on. The number of books you read in a year doesn't matter as much as the internet or other people make you think it does. One of the best things I ever did as a reader was to stop setting a reading goal. Pretty much as soon as I did this, it stopped me from rushing through books to hit a number, and it removed the pressure of comparison with others, and let's be honest, myself, while comparing the numbers to the previous year. It's been 4 years since I last set a reading goal, and this year I read more books than I did last year. When I stopped setting a goal, it then stopped feeling like a productivity task or a goal when I wanted it to just be fun. Essentially, removing this one thing helped me just enjoy books and took away any weird pressure I felt around reading. If you also feel like it's adding pressure, maybe not setting a reading goal is the solution. But that's only part of the pressure, right? There's also the comparison that comes with seeing other people online reading more than you. There are some avid readers out there that really rack up the numbers, and let's be honest, it's not their intention to make you feel this way, and it's not something we do on purpose, but comparing ourselves to them feels kind of inevitable. It's human nature to do it. Of course, some people feel more affected by this comparison than others, so if seeing other people's reading numbers makes you feel inferior or just bad about what you're reading, then by not tracking your own reading goals, you generally have nothing to compare it to. The format doesn't matter, but the story does. This is my next piece of advice. Arguments over what counts as reading are missing the point. I know, I've done videos on this too. But it generally doesn't matter if you've read a book with your eyes or your ears. What matters is that you've experienced the story. Doing this in a format that suits you is the best way to go about it. If you find you have more focus while reading an audiobook, then have at it. If you prefer physical books, then great. If you like a combo like me, then cool. Whatever works for you is what's best. People on the internet can have opinions, but when it comes to what you enjoy, what helps you read, the only opinion that matters is yours. Next, it's okay and actually pretty helpful to DNF books. DNF means did not finish, and it's essentially you saying that you are not going to continue reading a book. In practical terms, this could look like you marking it as DNF on a book tracking platform, or you simply putting it back on your shelf or sending it to a charity shop or something. Essentially, you're not reading it anymore, and it doesn't matter if you're 5 pages in or you have 5 pages left, you're done. I know how difficult this can be. We kind of come pre-built for the most part with this deep need to finish every book we start, but trust me when I say that if a book is becoming a bit of a drag to read, it's okay to stop reading it and move on to something you might enjoy a lot more. There is no such thing as a perfect reading routine, not even your perfect reading routine. I know that's really annoying to hear, especially in a world where being as productive as possible is the goal, speaking from experience. But even if you came up with the perfect reading routine that suits you, for example, you get up 30 minutes early before everyone else, then get in a chunk of reading in the peace and quiet. Later in the day, you do the same, but this time your kids have gone to bed. The problem is that with that perfect routine, it can change at the drop of a hat. Getting up early might not cut it anymore, the evenings might be short in winter, or you're just tired, you know? The best way to think about reading, to me anyway, is to think about it like this flexible, fluid thing. Some weeks you might be on a roll, reading every day and getting through your books like a reading machine. Others you may not be reading anything at all. You're busy or overwhelmed or just enjoying life. Both are okay, and both are parts of life. I feel like we put way too much pressure on ourselves to figure it out, to find the perfect answer to optimize our lives so we can do all the things. But the reality is we can't, and by forcing it, we're making it really not fun anymore. Next, experimenting with what you like to read is part of the fun. If you're anything like me, then you have your favorite genres or types of books you like to read. The things you love to read time and time again that give you comfort. They're probably easier to read and you can really get lost in them. Those types of books are probably the staples of what you read. But I feel like there's something we're potentially missing out on, myself included, and that's exploration. When I was younger, I used to read a whole load of different stuff. Some of the books were in my parents' house, some I picked up in the bookstore, but I tried things for the pure curiosity of it. Sure, I had my fantasy favorites, but I still tried other things with an open mind. I find that harder to do now, but when I do, it makes a huge difference in my reading life. Not only do I get to try out different genres and topics, but it also makes me appreciate the genres I do love even more. Because when I get back to them, I'm not burnt out by the same types of stories. They feel kind of fresh again. I know I want to do this more because there are way more topics and genres I could be trying out. Books don't have to be life-changing to be good. I know that no matter if you're an avid reader or somebody who hasn't read much in a while, the goal is probably to read something really good, right? We're all looking for a book that's either going to be an instant 5-star read or give us that jump start back into reading. Well, I kind of feel like that's shooting yourself in the foot because the likelihood of that happening is kind of slim. I don't mean to say that 5-star books are hard to find or that you won't find that one book which you can't stop thinking about, but by hunting for the best, you're missing out on books that, while they don't rock your world, are still pretty dang good. To me, a 3-star book is still a good book. An average book, one I think is average, is still worth reading. Not because you must finish it, we already talked about DNFing, but because sometimes it's nice to read something that doesn't require a lot of work, you know? Like when you watch a kind of average TV series, sure, it's not the best, but it ticks a box and perhaps gives you some comfort or rest when you need it. So when you see a book on Goodreads or the Storygraph or wherever and its average star rating is something like 3.5, don't pass it up on that reason alone. It still has value and you still might enjoy it. You don't have to read all the time to be a reader. I know it doesn't seem this way, especially when on the internet everything seems like it needs to be bigger and better to count. But if you read one book every few months or even one book a year, you read. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that if you're watching this and you don't read much, you probably want to. And if you want to, then you've probably looked at other people online who read a lot. And when you look at those people who read a lot, you think, well, I'd love to read that much too. How can I do it? And then you jump in at the deep end by trying to read however many pages a day, and then you burn out and you have another long break of not reading anything again. Am I accurate? Did I get that right? If that's the case, I would just urge you to take a step back. The amount you see people reading online is not the average of how many people read in the real world. It just isn't. We do not have to be your benchmark for what a reader is. If you're watching this and you have some advice to give, please leave it in the comments so we can be a resource for people looking to enjoy reading more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.